Shalom, when the self souls by giving no praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Shai, by Hashem Kodash, the belongs apostle, great most and honors you brothers doing the work of the most on truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God Jehovah or Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh. And the Son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, by Hashem Shai, but meaning in, her meaning done, Shai meaning names Yahweh. The name of Yahweh Shai. It's a quick one. Another quick one is titled "By Any Means Necessary," because this devil is basically gonna do his best to, you know, push his his agenda by any means necessary. So this is a very dark experiment that's underway in Nigeria with deadly consequences. And then you think about how when this man wanted to get the American public on board with basically invading Iraq and Afghanistan. What did he do? Right, he sacrificed 3,000 of his own, of his own citizens. Right, same thing here, but in terms of what we're about to read, a whole load of people are gonna end up basically, losing their livelihoods and dropping dead. But guess what? This man is, as the scripture says in Habakkuk, the second chapter, he is as death. He doesn't care. Right? He just wants to fulfill his agenda, right? Which ultimately is the Most High's agenda, because Esau's never going to be able to reach that pinnacle. You read Job the 20th chapter says, when he is about to fill his belly, right, he shall be in straits, right? And the Lord is going, basically overthrow his endeavors. So let's carry on. So since October 2021, 99.5% of Nigerians have refused to use the central bank's digital currency, the so-called e-naira, preferring to continue using cash. And this is the thing, I don't know how it is in Nigeria, whether the network is more stable and all of that sort of stuff. But, I remember being in Zimbabwe where I grew up, and the network was terrible, right? I wasn't I went there before the CV hit, where I had to sort out some paperwork and all of that sort of stuff. But when I was out there, I was network was hit and miss. I'll be calling, I call my mother back then every now and then. Sometimes the phone call goes through, sometimes it don't. And why am I bringing that up? Because with cash, guess what you can do with cash? You don't require a cellular network. Okay, not everywhere has that great a signal, and also power cuts are quite common as well, right? So if any of those is quite similar to in Nigeria, then of course people are gonna be like, why the hell am I gonna use that? Right? Imagine being in the middle of nowhere, right? Trying to make a payment, but oh shit, you ain't got network. So what you go and do? Okay, if you ain't got cash, right? So it's prefer to continue using cash. So what did the central bank do? It doubled down. In December, the central bank decided to replace all high denomination cash bills in the economy, right? Just as India did in its disastrous demonetization campaign of 2016. The goal is to make it much more difficult for Nigerians to use cash, and it's working like a dream/nightmare. Right, the precept that comes to mind also is Job 9:24. It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and that's the whole earth. You have these quote unquote racist, cracker devils. These so-called white people, man, will be like, well, if you hate it so much, go back to your own country. Well, there ain't no such a thing, because Esau's in power over all of this, right? The Lord is the one that gave him power over it, right? You read that in Daniel's the 4th chapter. Right? It says how the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and He giveth it. Oh wait, that's Sirach the 10th chapter, Salakia, right? That's Sirach the 10th chapter, right? Yeah, but the Lord is basically saying, no, I got the power. I'm gonna make the king whoever I want to be king. Right, and right now that just so happens to be Esau, right, the last ruler of this wicked ass world. Slakia. So yeah, let's go back to it real quick, right? It says yeah, as I've been warning for the last 2 months, Nigeria's already weakened economy is in no position to absorb the resulting economic shock. And that's it. When you start having mass poverty, the ultimate is that people die. Right. But Esau wants to get this ball rolling by any means necessary. Since the central bank is not printing nearly enough cash to replenish the money supply, the result is a massive cash shortage. So then, for instance, you imagine people who are reliant on, say, transfers from, family abroad, right? Imagine your street vendors. How are they going to be able to accept? Once again, mind you, your street vendors, a lot of them may just be people who, happen to have some fruit in their in the place where they live, right? And they just pick the fruit and they come to the market and they sell it at the market. And they don't necessarily have the have great overheads, but it's something. It's money that they can use for something, right? Now they ain't got the means to have these different technologies on them like that. Not trying to sound like Esau. Esau does that whole black people, they're poor, all of them. I'm not saying like that, just keeping it real. There's certain people, right, that are that are in poverty, and not just here in other places. That's what he says, as in India, right? You have people that are in poverty, and they sell what they can, and they keep what they can, right? They ain't got the means to be, buying smartphones just to have a fucking excuse my French, but just to have, some access to digital zeros and ones when they already had the paper, right? But that's why I also wanted what the ultimate solution, right, for that problem is 13:16, right? Revelation 13:16 says, and he calls it all, right? And that is literally all. Everyone in the face of the planet Earth, right? Esau's gonna try and he's gonna force it on them, right? You're gonna have those that resist and don't take his mark, namely the elect, right? He's gonna put the pressure on everyone. This is both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Right? So that's Esau is this MOTB is gonna be the what do you call it? The solution to a lot of this man's problems, right, that he's creating. Right? That's it. Esau creates a problem, and he tells you, hey, this is the solution, right? So it says, as in India, people will die, right? Businesses are closing, some will never reopen, right? Nigerians' lives have been plunged into chaos, but the country's government and central bank say the pain is worth it. And whose words are those? Those are Esau's words, ultimately, right? It says, Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor, has hailed the experiment as a success, right? As 80% of the cash previously held in private is now deposited within financial institutions, right? So it's basically a big money grab, right? It's basically a big money grab. This man just he overnight made your money uh, worthless, but not worthless necessarily, but it will become worthless. But he basically, well, made your notes worthless, right? Overnight, just like that, but stroke of a pen. And if you think this ain't gonna come here, it's gonna come here, right? One of the things that the CV exposes is basically how this devil basically experiments with different nations, right? He experiments with different nations, man, right? And when you look at how different countries do X, Y, and Z, you can be like, you know what? Just like, for instance, you look at what is this? Estonia is the most technologically advanced government in the world, right? Meaning, in Estonia, everyone just has an ID, right? And on that ID, you have all of your information, right? Your tax records, yeah, all of that sort of stuff is linked to that ID. What does that sound like? Okay, you just need to put that ID in the device, and then you got what the main topic of prophecy, a conversation right now is, right? So it says the only sore point is the pain it has caused its citizens. So why will the rest of the world care? Because unless it's stopped in its tracks, which it won't be, right? This is the thing. These people like to believe that there is a way of stopping it. There ain't no way of stopping it, right? Why kick us against the pricks? This is one way or another. This is according to the Atlantic Council CBDC tracker. 114 countries representing over 95% of global GDP are exploring a CBDC, right? And then there was a funny one here, not a funny one, an interesting one here, right? It says a timber rats, whatever it is. It says a very important series of tweets. Nigeria is a microcosm and a likely harbinger of what's to come for the rest of the world. So basically, what we said here, it says in India, and then at first when they basically did a mass what was the word he used? What was the word he used? Demonetization. Right? When India did a massive demonetization in Nigeria, people inevitably are gonna die. So when they implement this thing here, they're expecting and more so wanting people to end up dropping dead from these policies, right? This is Daniel 8:25. Now we know this is talking about Antiochus, however you say it, right? But it can be used today. This is Daniel 8:25. So and through his policy, right, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And when you consider what's happening in this world today, this is the same spirit. This is the same methodology, right? Policies and paperwork and whatever. People think that things are being done for their own good, but really, what does it say? It was gonna carry on and say, right? It says, "Shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many." Right? This man comes with you in peace, man. That's what it says in Surah the 12th, I believe 11. Right? It says, "Set him not by thee, man." Right? Don't let this devil anywhere near you. Right? Now, same spirit Antiochus had back then, right? These devils have that same spirit today, man. Right? It says, "He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand." Right? And then last one is Micah 2:1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. The morning is like they practice it, because it is the power of their hand." And I really just wanted mainly the that point. It's in the power of the hand. The Lord has allowed them the power to do this. That's why these people that say, "Oh, it needs to be stopped," which you go and have some of them not saying it needs to be stopped, that actually controlled opposition, right? They're down with the NWO, okay? But that's it, man. And this man, yeah, man, he's just devising iniquity, and people can't see. You gave more and more people are starting to wake up. Like for instance, on Twitter, you had basically the Pfizer basically had John Legend, promoting the thing, right? And then basically, well, no one was with it. It had like several million views, but like 300 or 400 likes or something like that. People weren't with it. I'd block the comments, but you read the quoted tweets and everything. People ain't with it, but ultimately, we go and see ultimately the main thing that matters is the elect. Because when these people get pushed into straits, guess what? They go and comply, right? Just like they did with the CV. Okay. So it was always that was edifying. Till next time we say, Shalom.